podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.
PNR.
Blueberry.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Okay, we're all getting ready here. We're going to talk about the news of the year. All the big stories and everything.
No.
No? What do you mean no?
I mean no. I am tired of talking about the news. I am sick and tired of talking about politics and division and who hacked who and who did what and blah, 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 wars, death, famine, plague, blah, blah. I'm tired of it!
Honey?
What?
The name of the show is Subject Cinema. We're kind of talking about movie news, entertainment news, stuff that's happening with celebrities. You know, E-channel gossip stuff.
Oh.
Not Washington and Congress and all that stuff.
Oh. Well, that's very different. Never mind.
Thank you, Miss Latella.
All apologies to Gilda Radner.
We've got all the stories of the year and a little bit more and all that stuff. On part 2 of 2019, the year in review, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
It's all coming up right here
on Subject Cinema.
On air, online, on now. From the hub of the universe, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, this is Subject Cinema. With your hosts, T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome TC and Kim.
I think that just means Gilda is still relevant.
I think so. At least with us.
Welcome to Subject
still miss
Cinema.
You, Gilda.
I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
It's Subject Cinema number 641, part 2 of our 2019 year in review. We're doing all kinds of crazy stuff for the last 4 episodes of 2019.
Yep.
Day and date, it is December 29th, 2019. And we are just 2 days away from 2020.
Yeah. Staring down the barrel of another winter storm.
Yeah.
Too.
Well,
Yay.
not for us. It's going to be mostly north and west of Boston. Worcester's going to get hit. Springfield's going to get hit.
Yeah.
We're probably not going to get that much, hopefully.
Hopefully.
So on this show, we're going to talk about the big entertainment stories of the year. There's been a lot of crazy stuff going on. Some of them good, some of them bad, some of them ridiculous.
Yep. Some of them controversial, and some of them good. I mean, there were some good things that happened this year. People got married, people had babies, there were, it's not all...
You're always looking for romance and popping out the little ones, aren't you?
Yes! Because I'm sorry, life is not all death, war, destruction, scandal,
it's not.
Blah, blah. It's just not.
And despite what everybody would have you think, including people we know, the entire world is not responsible. Donald Trump is not responsible for every little thing that goes wrong in the entertainment industry. No. Although they make you think it is sometimes. Although I'm sure if he was still in the entertainment industry, things would be kind of nuts because... I mean, you can only watch so much of that show.
That would be like the opening credits.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep, that's it. I'm done. Boop. Yeah.
I think the big story that we should talk about is the one that's locally based, even though it's Hollywood in sense.
Oh, yes, indeed.
And that is the big brouhaha
kerfuffle even
going on that the Massachusetts prosecutors brought up against a number of people that included Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin in these conspiracies to do all kinds of things by making bribes and stuff to get their kids into college without actually having, like, didn't Felicity's kid was supposedly on the row team or something, and
the basic boiling it down to, bare bones and brass tacks, which sounds like a terrible dish.
Ew.
What these people
I
are
don't think
being,
we'll be seeing that on Test Kitchen anytime soon.
hopefully not.
Yuck. That's a Becky kind of thing if I ever heard it.
Sorry, Becky. You're not that Becky, by the way. We don't mean Becky with the good hair. That's something else. Anyway.
Hey, well, I don't even know what that means. Anyway, go ahead.
Look it up. Getting down to what this is about is basically the idea that these people who have a lot of money went to colleges and said, we would like our kids to go to your college, please. And the people that were at the college were like, well, your kid has to be like, they have to do it. Like, we want them to have a scholarship for this sport. Your kid doesn't play this sport. Oh, they don't? Oops, here's all this money we dropped. Would you like it? Oh, wow, look, your kid plays this sport. Now, I realize...
Now, in all fairness, Felicity Huffman and her husband, I can always...
William H. Macy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to say William Dafoe, and I knew that's wrong. William H. Macy are out of it. She's only served for 7 days' time. She's 11, whatever it was.
Yep.
She's done. Lori Loughlin and her husband are fighting this thing tooth and nail.
Oh, yeah.
And it has been really interesting to watch her. I mean, here's sweet, and her name is Becky too, isn't it? Sweet Aunt Becky from Full House and Fuller House coming out and with this glare and like these looks that she could just kill people with. Mm-hmm. It has been interesting to watch this.
I know I'm being, a little sarcastic, which on the odd occasion I am wont to do. Ting.
You?
But anyway, and I'm probably making this way more simplistic than it has to be. I swear I'm not doing that because I'm dumbing it down. It's because I don't get it. So I don't want you guys to think I'm talking down to you. It's because I'm an idiot. So there's just that. But basically, that's
actually, when it comes to this story, they're the idiots, not us.
Well, what they're being accused...
and we all know that, too.
What they're being accused of. We still live in a country where...
Yeah, some of the charges don't fit what happened.
We still live in a country where, allegedly, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Hashtag we'll see. But the whole thing of it is that... what they're doing, I'm not saying what they're doing, what they're being accused of doing. I'm not saying what they're being accused of doing is anything that you should be proud of.
No, it's not. But to be accusing them of bribery and mail fraud and all these other things, I'm like, this is Boston's prosecutor overreaching, as usual, I should point out, trying to get cases here. I don't know. The prosecutor does seem to be a bit of a grandstander up here, and I've said that before on other local stuff. He loves to have that news conference there.
Considering the fact that I don't know, maybe this is just my own take on this, and I'm not trying to sound like a jerk to anybody. I'm really not. Mm-hmm. But it always seems to me, whenever you have a prosecutor wherever, I'm not saying just in Massachusetts because this happens other places.
Oh yeah, it does.
Whenever you have a prosecutor that is trying to make their name on a specific case, it rarely works.
Yeah.
Because they usually come off not looking really well.
No.
And
think John Hamm in The Town.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's not a prosecutor.
No, but he's a good guy. But he's
allegedly
supposedly the good guy, but he comes off being the bad guy. So it's like, what? Okay.
I mean, you don't come off looking good, and at least at least the media paints you that way.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, seriously, if what these people are being accused of is what they really did, it's not a good thing. But for crying out loud, there are people out there who are committing actual serious, honest-to-blog crimes. Go after them!
Like we're going to do on the next story here. Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, alleged. R. Kelly has not had a good year.
Oh, no.
He started off with all these accusations against him by
Again.
A number of women.
Again.
Then losing his marbles in an interview with Gayle King on CBS this morning. There's a hilarious meme floating around with him ranting and railing, and Gayle's just sitting there looking perfectly calm, looking straight ahead in that extremely bright yellow dress she likes so much.
See, that's the one thing about the one thing about that whole situation, and again, this is me trying to find, I wouldn't call it a positive, but Miss King went through that whole situation where, I'm sorry, I would have been
to her for putting
I
up
would
with
have been
that,
afraid.
I
would have been afraid for my life. You know,
Gayle has nothing to worry about. She has St. Oprah for her best friend, so she's like protected there. But
that wasn't nice.
Well, I'm saying,
I mean,
you know, those two have been like peas in a pod for 30 years now. So
well, if you're going to be friends with somebody, being friends with Oprah really can't hurt. Hi, Oprah.
More stuff.
What I wanted to say real quick was that Miss King, that whole interview, which could have been a complete train wreck on both sides, only turned out to be a train wreck on R. Kelly's side because the man very clearly fell apart.
Yeah.
Well,
King, I mean, you threaten his livelihood. Of course he's going to fall apart.
Miss King handled that situation
beautifully.
Absolutely beautifully, with so much dignity and poise and composure. I thought, I was watching that going, wow, if I had a child, if I had a daughter, I would point to her and be like, I want you to act like her in a stressful situation.
It has triggered,
goodness knows, don't act like your mother.
It has triggered a whole bunch of downfall-like memes over the last year, too, which have been funny as hell. And he's still facing more accusations now.
Yeah. So what does Lifetime do? Yeah.
Lifetime makes a series.
Yeah.
Called
Surviving R. Kelly.
Which is where a lot of this came out.
Okay, can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I know I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree, and goodness knows I'm very dumb when it comes to legal things, but considering that he's facing a lot of very serious charges, isn't this the absolute worst time they could put something like this on television?
Well, this is what they did. They did it to give his accusers an airtime. And that's what made the case so bad. It was just tiny at first.
But my point is, who are they going to get? My thing is, if this actually goes in front of a jury, which if anybody's smart, it won't, how are they going to find anybody who is completely going to be like, yeah, I'm non-biased? Other than going to Pennsylvania Dutch Company, Pennsylvania Dutch Country, and getting 12 Amish people.
Yeah.
Good luck finding people who are going to be unbiased with this.
Yeah. Back in January at the Sundance Film Festival, there was a premiere of a documentary called Leaving Neverland.
Yep.
Which was a two-part character assassination, according to the Jackson family, of Michael Jackson, interviewing the two men who have said over and over and over, I've never been molested by Michael Jackson, suddenly deciding, yes, they have.
Yeah.
The way the entertainment community jumped on this was disgraceful. They were instantly on the side of the two guys in this movie, even though they have been proven to be habitual liars 50 times over on both sides. I mean, Michael was never convicted for this.
He was acquitted.
But there were suspicions of all over the place. And it's interesting to note that this first instance was the chink in the armor of what is known as cancel culture. No matter what these people did to raise the bar on this movie and the enormous ratings it got on HBO when it aired in April or March, a poll after people saw it said 76% of the people who saw it completely didn't believe anything the two men said.
Yep.
Nothing.
And if you go
Michael's music is still on the radio.
If you go by the radio stations, they're still playing Michael's music.
And it was also decided in court in favor of the Jackson family that, yes, they can go to arbitration rather than go into trial or the other way around, I forgot what it was, because HBO did not consult with them. There was a one-sided documentary. The family was not asked for their interpretation.
Well,
they're in a lot of trouble. So
well, that's what I've always said a documentary is. I mean, when we did our documentary show years back, a documentary's purpose at the core of it, and whether people want to admit this or not, a documentary's purpose is to get one point of view across. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I said before, and I stick by this, a true documentary would be just sticking a camera in the ground and leaving it until the film runs out.
Yeah, that's actually not a documentary. That's cinema verite. That's not the same thing. It's a part of a documentary, but it's not the same thing. This also became, 2019 has become the year of the new streaming systems. With the success of Netflix, everybody has been scrambling to go, despite the cable industry denying the cord cutting, there is cord cutting galore. I mean, they've lost millions of subscribers this year. So all of these companies are now striving to become the next huge streamer service. Only one of them has debuted so far. Disney Plus premiered in November to huge numbers, thanks to The Mandalorian, the Star Wars spinoff that Jon Favreau's in charge of, and the fact that there's so much of the Disney library that hasn't been seen in years on this service. Yep. It's amazing. But there are others coming. Apple TV has also recently debuted, although all of its original shows have been totally trashed by the critics. And in the future, we have the Warner Brothers service coming. It is known as HBO Max, which came to a total surprise to HBO, who is part of that company. They didn't apparently tell HBO they were going to name their streaming service HBO Max, which doesn't make any sense to me. I think they should just call it Warner Archive, which is what their classic archive DVD site is called. It would have made a lot more sense. Yeah. And NBC and Comcast have announced their own their own streaming service that will handle the Universal library.
Right.
They're calling it Peacock.
You're just not going to stop laughing at that, are you?
No, because it's funny as hell. I'm sorry. And the fact is, when they announced it at this press conference, half the press thought they were joking. I think that's really sad. Comcast can't do anything right this year. They've been bombing on everything they've been trying to do. And the idea of a universal NBC service is great. There's a lot of great stuff in that library. But calling it Peacock, I realize that the Peacock is synonymous with NBC. It became a part of NBC's identity in 1962 when they first started doing color shows, and they used a peacock as its logo. The following show is in living color on NBC, and the peacock would fan its feathers. Yeah. The problem is, every time they've tried to reintroduce the peacock, since they got rid of it in 1976, they tried to reintroduce it in 1979 when Fred Silverman was there, proud as a peacock, with this new looking, like cardboardy looking peacock that went straight into the toilet. Now, a lot of people, I don't even think today's generation doesn't even know the peacock and what's its significance to NBC is. I'm like, okay.
Which is really funny when you think about it, because, I mean, peacocks are beautiful, but they're actually not the most colorful bird out there. There's lots of other birds that are more colorful. I mean, flamingos are more colorful than peacocks.
Flamingos are pink.
Yeah, I
know. Peacocks have all different colors.
Yeah, but they're muted colors compared to a flamingo.
So anyway,
or other birds. Whatever,
what this means is all major,
and they're mean.
All of the major free networks now have their own streaming service.
Yep.
Obviously, CBS has CBS All Access, which has been around for a while, about a year now. And other CW shows and stuff will be affiliating, I believe, with Netflix. But the major networks all have their own network now, because Fox and ABC are part of Disney Plus, because Fox is now owned by Disney. So although the network isn't, but the network itself is not owned by Disney, but they have a synergy. It was not part of the deal. They just bought the studio, not the TV properties.
Yep.
And then ABC is fully part of Disney, NBC part of Universal, Peacock, and CBS is going to different places.
Yep.
So it's an interesting... I mean, CBS All Access is mostly focusing on original stuff,
Yeah.
They've had big success with Star Trek Discovery. They have Star Trek Picard.
There's a
premiering
lot
in
of buzz
January.
about Picard.
Yeah, it's already been renewed for a second season. So it's interesting to note that CBS is not finding a movie channel all the way out yet. Possibly because CBS is the only network that isn't directly connected to a successful film operation. CBS Films have tried, but have not yet, I don't think, had a single hit in the last 15 years. Most of their stuff has come out and bombed. So,
yeah.
I don't know. The streaming services, we subscribe to Disney Plus. We haven't actually watched anything on it yet. But,
no, I know. We haven't started watching The Mandalorian yet.
Well, it's done.
Don't yell at us.
The first season's done, so we can sit down and binge it.
Yep.
And I want to see Lady and the Tramp because Thomas Mann is in it, and there's some classic stuff that I haven't seen in years that's on there, including Benji the Hunted, which is my favorite Benji movie, and a bunch of other stuff. We just haven't had time to do it. I'm on vacation next week, so I actually might have a chance to start using it. But it's like, okay. And we
Do not watch The Mandalorian without me.
I won't watch that. You're more interested in that than I am. Speaking of The Mandalorian, this thing has launched a memeable character named Baby Yoda.
Yep.
Who has been, well, for the last 3 weeks until the last couple weeks ago, has been driving a lot of talk on the internet. Now, he's kind of been knocked to second place by the new character that's in The Rise of Skywalker, the memory guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. And he's getting lots of, and that character is voiced by a woman, which I find is interesting. So the Star Wars characters are back in the forefront from one way or the other. The ultra old, prequel Mandalorian, which is like, what they say, 200 years before Luke's time?
Something like that.
And then, well, it had to have been more if Yoda's a baby. And he was 700, so it's got to be 700 years.
Yoda was 900 when he died.
He mentioned it's 900. It's a millennia ago.
Yeah.
Before the long ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Longer ago.
And now we got this one from Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
So,
yes, and that's what we have also. The conclusion of this part of the Star Wars saga, at least, with the Rise of Skywalker, which came out, thankfully, with less of the bitching, moaning, whining, kvetching from the Neckbeard Society.
Yeah, but it didn't help. JJ's getting blasted for way cutting down on the part for Rose, played by Kelly Marie Tran.
Yes.
And destroying what looked like a romance starting at the end of Last Jedi.
Yeah. And also the fact that the scene was cut to appease other countries because it was a scene of two women. It's a blink.
I didn't even notice
scene.
it. So
I noticed it.
I didn't notice it.
I noticed it because my eyes happened to be on that. It's not even a scene that's being focused on. It's just one thing.
It's in the background.
Yeah. It's a background scene, but everybody's making a big deal about the fact that it's a scene of two women kissing and certain people lost their snit over it. And certain people need to drag themselves out of the friggin' dark ages.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
A couple of Marvel-related things this year.
Mm-hmm.
First one happened during the summer when Sony announced it was going to go its own separate way from Marvel/Disney with the Spider-Man character property. That didn't sit well with very many fans.
Including me.
And me. And Tom Holland got involved, and so they did decide that they did come to terms again. So there will be at least one more Spider-Man movie and one other appearance by the character in another Marvel film
being played by Tom.
Before they decide what they're going to do next.
I'm sorry, and this might get me in trouble, and it might piss some people off, but that's okay. Tom Holland is the best person who has played Spider-Man on the big screen. Fight me. I liked Tobey Maguire.
I like Tom, but I like Tobey Maguire. I like Tom.
And I loved Andrew Garfield.
We haven't seen either one of Tom's solo films. Maybe I'll like him better after that.
I loved Andrew Garfield, don't get me wrong.
Andrew Garfield was okay.
I liked Andrew
I thought he was too old to play the role.
Because he brought the sass to the character that I've always felt was there. You didn't see it, but that's okay.
I've never been a big fan of the comic, and that's why.
I know.
I love Tom as an actor, and Tom, God love him, he openly admitted on Jimmy Kimmel Live a few weeks ago when he was on there promoting the movie, that when Kevin Feige called him about the whole Marvel-Sony schism over Spider-Man because he had called and said he wanted to talk to them. They called him back, and he was at a pub with his friends on his third beer, half in the tank, but he still managed to lay out an argument big enough that it was able, within a week, they came to a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something.
That is amazing.
Because they obviously love Tom and the character and love what he's done with it since coming to the universe.
Yeah.
And
speaking of the Marvel Universe, movie-wise, we reached the conclusion of that phase of the Marvel movie universe this year as well with Avengers Endgame.
I think that puts us pretty much at the end of the Marvel Universe first, period. Everything. They're starting brand new with Spider-Man Far From Home and going forward later in 2020 with the Eternals. And
so this is the first age, and now we're going into the second age, I guess.
Yeah,
if we're going
I think that would be a way. Age would be a good way to describe it.
A Tolkien look at things, I guess.
But
and I know I just pissed off a whole bunch of people mixing fandoms.
But
like
you know,
that,
you know, it's not cinema.
Oh yes.
I mean, Martin Scorsese says so. So it's not cinema. We did a whole show on this about 2 months ago.
Yes.
But Martin Scorsese...
We're not going to talk... and we're not going to talk about...
Has since clarified what he meant.
Yeah.
And as a result, his daughter wrapped all of his Christmas presents in Marvel-based Christmas wrapping.
And we're not going to talk about the way... we already talked about it. We're not going to talk about it again.
Go back and listen to the other show. But basically...
In the way we did, because it's Christmas.
Martin is a great person, and he's a terrific director. But, I mean... He feels that they don't speak to people the way that other films do. And I don't agree. If you're a comic fan, they definitely speak to you.
Yep.
And it's a different type of... They're both... I mean, everybody, even people who he's close to, have come out and said, that was not the way to put it, not the way to address it.
Yeah.
But he has his feelings, and, gee, I can't understand why, as we've said, as we've zinged him for... here is a man who most of his career has been filming stories of organized crime. A few detours here and there.
Usually films where we're supposed to be identifying or at least sympathizing with the people who are, breaking the law.
And even the films that aren't about organized crime have an underlying crime element like Raging Bull. So it's... And I mean, everybody's calling The Irishman the best film of the year. It's probably going to win an Oscar. And it's like, I don't know. I think that he overstepped a bit there. I don't have any problem with Martin. He is one of the most cool people in Hollywood. He speaks his mind. He says what he means, but he also doesn't despise people for liking them.
Unlike Francis Ford Coppola, who went out of his way to make it seem like, who went out of his way to make it seem like if you like these kind of films, not only are you like a bad film fan, you're a bad person. And most of us decided...
That's like that whole statement that Roger Ebert once made. The one thing that I really, I love Roger Ebert. The late great Ebert was the best film critic that ever lived, as far as I'm concerned. And I distinctly take umbrage with his quote, "You are not a film fan if you have never seen Ozu." And I'm sorry, you don't have to see Ozu to be a film fan. There are plenty of other great filmmakers out there that aren't Ozu that you can still be a fan of. Scorsese, Sylvester Stallone also, Takeshi Kitano, Kurosawa, the Godards, the list goes on and on. You do not need to see Ozu to be a film fan.
I don't know about Stallone, but I mean, although...
I'm speaking of his good stuff, not his crap.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people
if you want to go that far, there's also Robert Redford as a director and other people who have done really well.
Yeah.
And done it well. Mel Gibson also, with especially with his Hamlet, which got great reviews from people.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
Talking about someone that we were talking about something else earlier on before we did the show, talking about people that threw stuff away in an instant.
Yeah, but he's recovered for the most part.
For the most part, yeah, he's gotten a lot of good positive feedback and stuff like that.
And of course, I'm going to switch my tactics here a little bit. Let's go over to the music world for a minute.
Everybody, you want to wait for a minute?
Let's talk about one of my favorite people on the planet, Miss Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I'm going to get behind this blast screen. Just give me a minute. Hold on.
Scooter Braun, who you guys don't know who they are. Scooter Braun is a talent manager, and he's also an entrepreneur and an impresario. He's managed Justin Bieber's career since it began. He bought out Big Machine Records this summer. Taylor had a conniption fit. She was previously on Big Machine. She jumped to Republic or Warner Brothers or one of them last year with her new album. And she's incensed that he has control over her previous albums. So she started this campaign against this guy and basically got shot down by everyone in Hollywood who basically told her, "Oh, shut up, you bitch." Well, they did. Nobody buys her stories. Nobody's buying her stories on this. You notice almost everybody's sided with Scooter on this.
Right.
I think she's probably, got her own personal beef with the guy, which she's admitted. But don't drag the whole industry into this by making it a public spectacle, which is what she usually does when she doesn't agree with something. I mean, when it comes down to that, she's comparable to, the type of deplorables in Hollywood that do that, like Rosie O'Donnell or Jane Fonda, or, the people who make a big stink out of everything for the maximum publicity. And I'm just saying that's what she's an expert at. Never mind the fact that she's a talentless hack. To me.
Oh,
but,
gosh.
I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
I don't like her.
Yes, we've established that, darling. Thank you so very much. We've established you are not a fan of Taylor's music.
Would you agree that she went a little bit off the deep end?
Well, I would if I understood half of what you just said. I don't, really. My whole thing is, I'm like, I kind of feel like if you wrote the song, if you sang the song, all that stuff, it's your song.
Well, yeah, she can still sing it live, but she's worried that they won't let her use those songs, which technically they cannot do. Somebody needs to point that out to Miss Businesswoman. They can prevent her from using the recordings, but they can't forbid her from doing the song itself. And every legal expert in Hollywood says so. I don't know, and then it turned out to be moot anyway, because she ended up doing all original stuff on the American Music Awards after making a big fuss about how they weren't letting her have her old stuff, and he came out and said she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Live. I never told her anything like that. This feud is all in her head. I don't know where it's coming from.
She does seem to have...
Maybe we need some Britney Spears stewardship here with Miss Swift.
Oh, good grief.
I mean, she's going off the deep end from everything I can see.
She does seem... Now,
I know. I hear people out there doing their best Chris Crocker imitation. Leave Taylor alone! No. Anyway.
A little higher pitch and you're a little closer. She does seem to have... and now I don't know Miss Swift. This is
going to be good.
This is called CYA, children. I don't know Miss Swift personally, but it does seem that she has a bit of a persecution complex.
And a lot of bit of dramatic what do we call that with you? She's expert at melodramatic exposition.
How did this get thrown on me? What did I do?
I was trying to think of the word.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. As I would quote to Kim, "Oh, Taylor, don't be so melodramatic," which is what she's an expert at. So.
Okay.
Wouldn't you say that's accurate?
I wish I had her. Fine, if we're both melodramatic, fine. We may both be melodramatic. Unfortunately, I neither have her talent nor her money. So
you definitely have more talent. Money, true, but you definitely have more talent
than her.
Yeah.
You're sweet. You're out of your mind, but you're sweet.
I'm not sweet. I know the truth. I know you. So there. Take a compliment when it's given to you.
Thank you. All right. Anyway,
in all fairness, I have no animosity toward Taylor. I'm just not a big fan.
No.
But I really do think she's really. I can milk it for all it's worth. I really do think she really overdid it this time, really bad, and so does everybody that normally sides with her.
Yeah, usually most of the time, whenever she's like saying, "Well, somebody's not being kind to her" or whatever, or she's sticking up for somebody else. Most people are like, "Yeah, Taylor, you go, Tay-Tay," and all that stuff like that. This time it was like, Taylor, you kind of need to take your own advice and you need to calm down.
Yeah, good. You've never asked me what turned me against her so badly.
Oh, I know what turned you. I know.
What?
You say I know, you know me, I know you.
What did it?
Well, you got pissed off when it's like, your whole thing was, she dates guys, she breaks up with guys, she writes songs about them, and then she gets rich.
There's more to it than that.
That's the one thing you constantly said.
There's more to it than that. And let me just describe this, going back 10 years when she first clicked. When, I've forgotten which album it was on. I think it was Lines, Vines, and Trying Times. The last album the Jonas Brothers did before they split up for a few years. There was a song called Paranoid. This was a song that was one of their last big hits before they took their time doing solo stuff. Paranoid is about Taylor Swift. I don't know if you realize that or not. She and Joe had been dating when Joe was on the Jonas Disney stuff. And she was more interested in protecting her reputation than they were he was serious about her, and she was more interested in her reputation and was paranoid about things he was doing or saying. Sorry, I'm getting dry throat syndrome again. And they ended up writing this song about her. Mm-hmm. That song is about Taylor Swift. And I'm like,
have they ever said that?
Yes. Oh, Joe said this in... Nick said this in an interview when it came out.
Okay.
It's not a secret. It's been out there.
Well, I'm just asking because people can, you and I and everybody else and all the DJs on the planet and everybody else can infer that a song is about whomever,
they
whatever,
got together
wherever.
When Taylor was the opening act for the last Jonas Brothers concert tour. She had not yet clicked huge. Mm-hmm. And it was crazy. I mean... And so that song, supposedly, according to, I think it was Nick that talked about it, it may have been Joe. There's you look it up, it's out there on the internet. They've had animosity toward each other ever since. And that song,
no, it wasn't.
And she wrote one of her hits is about him. So it's like, okay.
Well, it's not. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a jerk.
It's like the whole thing with Brittany and Justin. I know, blah blah blah.
No, my whole thing is I'm not trying to be a jerk about this, but that goes on in the rap community all the time. One guy writes a song,
with the exception that in the rap community they usually end up dead.
Okay, wow, all right,
sorry.
Thank you. Oh my gosh,
no, that's what, 3 times this year so far?
I know, unfortunately, yeah. Please, that's got to stop.
More than that.
But I mean,
we didn't get all of them in the
people write a diss track about somebody, and then somebody writes a diss track back, and it goes back and forth and back and forth. And if people just keep it in the records, and people actually don't take it out and physically hurt each other, please let's stop doing that.
Yeah,
it's craziness. But
so anyway, look it up. Look up the story.
It's not like that's new. Is my point.
So that's what turned me off to her. And I mean, because I've been to Jonas Brothers for day one.
I
liked them.
I know.
And I felt that they were getting the shaft by her. And she used them as a stepping stone to jump up, which she has now earned a history of doing with practically every guy she's been with. So I think, okay, whatever.
Anyway, wow, this went off on a tangent that I didn't think it was going to. Sheesh.
Okay. I can edit that out if you like.
No. It's what you said. We pride ourselves on being honest on this show, and
I have to admit, I actually do like one song by her.
Which one?
The song she did for the Hunger Games. That's the only song I like that she's done. I don't like any. I can't stand "Shake It Off." If I hear that song one more time, I'm going to throw the freaking radio through the window. That song is such a piece of crap. It's scary.
I like You Need to Calm Down. I like the message behind.
The message behind You Need to Calm Down is great. It's a shame that she was the artist that did it.
Okay, let's move on to another topic, please.
Want to talk about Chris Pratt for a while?
Well, certain people in the room have this unreasonable dislike of Chris, which I just don't get.
I don't have a dislike of Chris. I don't have a problem with Chris, except as Star-Lord. I can't stand that character.
No, no, let me put it another way. You don't have a dislike of
I'm not a
Chris.
fan of, what's the show he used to do?
The Office.
He wasn't.
No, not The Office. Parks and
Recreation. I was never a fan of that show anyway.
Sorry, I don't know why I said
that. But I don't like Star-Lord as a character.
I know.
I just don't.
I know.
And it wouldn't be just him. It would be whoever was playing it. It's the character. I liked Chris fine in the Jurassic World movie. He was great in that. And I doubt that I'd have a problem. I just find him easy to rag on because of Star-Lord.
And you also like ragging on him because you know it irritates me.
Yeah, that's
because I happen to like Chris as an actor, and I happen to Okay, I'm not entirely sure. Like is going to be honest.
Uh-oh.
Let's go with tolerate. I tolerate Star-Lord. I see. You
didn't say it right.
I'm not going to do it like you're doing it because you're being rude. Oh my gosh, you're so rude.
That's how he says it. Star-Lord.
Maybe it's just because I, being a female, am more empathic than you. That I just see behind.
Really?
Not that you're not a very sensitive guy, because you are. It's just that I tend to look beyond all of the bluster and the machismo and the posturing and all that, and I see the pain underneath that, and I see what he's using as an armor to protect himself, because this is someone that's been hurt constantly, and
you can't see me, but I'm totally sitting over here doing the Carson eye roll.
Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. Excuse me for being a sensitive, caring individual.
You are a sensitive, caring individual.
I do actually think about things like that. I'm not always about, oh wow, he's hot. I'm not like...
Well, you do think he's hot, though.
Who, Chris?
Yeah. There's a good reason for that. He's not a bad-looking dude.
He's cute. I wouldn't, if he showed up at my door with a carnation and a limo, I definitely wouldn't be like, ooh, slam.
Yeah.
If I was single.
You'd prefer it would be Jason Momoa.
I'm sorry. Went to my happy place for a minute. I'm okay now.
When we come back, we'll talk a bit about the big winners and losers of the year. What movies surpassed expectations and others that have crashed and burned
spectacularly.
Meow. All coming up next
when Subject Cinema returns.
Good times and great movies. Subject Cinema.
eCinemaOne is your choice for great info and commentary about the world of film and entertainment. Daily trailer postings, the latest news and film reviews, commentary about the state of the industry, the weekly Subject Cinema and 3-Minute Weekend podcast, and so much more you won't believe it. New material is being posted daily, so join us each day and see what you're missing out on. Once you visit, you will always be back for more. eCinemaOne from PNRNetworks, eCinemaOne.com.
We probably can't cover the thousands of films made every year, but it's sure a lot of fun to try. Subject Cinema.
We are looking back at 2019, and we're so glad you're looking back with us this week and all these shows this coming week on Subject Cinema. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm T.C. Kirkham, and we're looking back.
We're actually not looking that far back since it's still 2019.
It is still 2019. Winners and losers in 2019. This has been an interesting year. You want to start the winners or the losers?
Well, we should just kind of flip back and forth. Although, am I wrong in saying that this year is the first year in a while that they haven't been like, it's the worst year ever for cinema?
No, they're still doing that. They're still doing that. It's down like 5.9% because of the bombs at the Christmas time.
Odin's beard, I'm so sick of that.
Everybody now knows
every year it's the same damn thing. Every year it's the worst year in cinema.
Because Hollywood is so greedy.
It's like, because that's like every year up here, it's going to be the worst winter ever.
This is what I meant on our Best of the Decade countdown. Why does it take Hollywood $150 million to make a disaster movie like San Andreas, and the Norwegians did it with less than 10 with The Wave, and it's a better movie? Can you tell me that? Yeah. I mean, they did it with less than $10 million. It's like, what the hell? You do not need to pay all those expensive things. And Hollywood is starting to realize that and is starting to scale back a little bit, which I think is helping. And it'll help that the most expensive movie of all time earned its money back in spades and is now the biggest grossing box office film in history, and that is Avengers Endgame.
Yay!
It may not last only until Avatar 2 comes out. We'll see. But I don't know. Avatar 2 due out at the end of next year or the end of 2021. I forget which.
The strange thing is, a lot of people now. Obviously, was Avengers the most expensive film ever made?
The movie between Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, which shot at the same time, they spent collectively $1 billion.
Wow. I mean, it showed. It was great.
It was 300 and some million for Infinity War and the rest for Endgame. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, holy cow, are you kidding me? 2 movies cost $1 billion to make?
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, as big of a hit as Avengers Endgame was, there were some parts of it that just weren't satisfying to me, but I enjoyed it immensely. I did love it, but it didn't resolve things the way I'd hoped for. And
I thought it was an amazing film. What let me down was the audience we saw it with. But that's just me. That's just my...
Yeah, here we go again.
No, I'm not going to go any further.
I am. She was disappointed by the live audience at the Showplace Icon. It was the first time we were there. Nice new luxury theater in the Seaport District. And the audience wasn't rowdy enough for Kim, because we're used to Revere audiences. Revere audiences tend to be rowdy. And so I made a mistake. I won't do it again. We won't go see any more big blockbusters at these new theaters. I had the same experience with Rent a few years ago. I wanted a huge response and I didn't get anything. So
yeah, I'm sorry.
And we went to AMC in town. So
right. It's funny how you bring up Avatar, because James Cameron has brought up that there are going to be multiple sequels.
There's
to
3
Avatar.
sequels to Avatar.
Yeah.
Why, when we haven't even seen the second one yet, is unknown.
The thing
and how Stephen Lang is coming back is even more interesting.
The thing that I find so interesting about Avatar is that a lot of people are now looking back on that film, and we saw it in the theater. We both thought it was really cool.
We saw it in IMAX, which was a true IMAX, the 8-story IMAX.
Yeah.
And it was phenomenally good.
It was, but when you think about it...
And made me bawl like a little kid in several places.
Yeah, me too, but as we've already mentioned, I cry at Cheerios commercials, so it doesn't take much to get me emotionally invested in something.
The minute she sees somebody proposing on a TV show, she's... Every little thing, you know.
I'm friggin' sensitive. What do you want? I'm a friggin' delicate flower, okay?
You are.
Anyway... But a lot of people have gone back and looked at Avatar, and they're not saying that it's a bad movie, but they're definitely looking back on it and going, "Hey, wait a minute," you know. And I'm not changing my mind about it, but they do have very good points. That basically Avatar is Dances with Wolves in space.
Yeah, it is.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take the attitude that I take, which is that everything old is new again, that this, to me, isn't an earth-shattering revelation or some mind-blasting epiphany that some people seem to think it is. Because I'm just like, yeah, that's true. Okay, but it looked really cool. Let's move on.
It was amazing looking.
You know, some people have spent, devoted time to tearing it to pieces.
Well, so what? There are critics out there who have spent devoted time tearing Me and Earl and the Dying Girl to pieces for no reason. So it's which is a superior film from that year. And it's like, I don't know. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. Some critics just can't stop. Like yesterday, I told you, Owen Gleiberman released his worst films of the decade. Most overrated films of the decade.
Yeah.
And among that, now, not that I ever agree with Gleiberman. I think he's a pompous yoik most of the time. And I always have.
By most of the time, he means all of the time.
Well, no, I've agreed with him on a couple of things. Very rarely. But he among the stuff he called overrated by other critics, Skyfall, The Act of Killing, Paddington 2, which was a huge hit with the critics, Margaret, another huge hit with the critics, and Inception.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people took exception to.
I'm sorry, my attitude about Inception's overrated. I'm sorry, maybe you're just not smart enough to get it.
I mean, he actually, when it came to talking about Skyfall, which got my fourth best of the decade, he said, I can't wait for the new film and hope it's good enough to finally make people realize just how wrong they were about Skyfall. And I'm like, No.
Yeah.
I'm like, Skyfall is the perfect James Bond film. I don't know where he came from this. I mean, I agree. He admits he liked Casino Royale a lot, and everything else to him since has been bad. So, Casino Royale was a top-notch, possibly the best James Bond film up to that point. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of the franchise. Like Eric Lyon, our friend over at Cavebabble, is a huge James Bond fan. I've liked them, but I've never been a devotee. I have not missed a single Daniel Craig outing as James Bond because Casino Royale was so good. I like him in that role.
A lot of people's issue,
Although some of the movies haven't been good.
No,
Quantum of Solace was terrible, and Spectre was meh.
I liked Spectre. I liked Spectre more than you did.
You did.
I seriously.
I just didn't. I thought the whole Christoph Waltz character was a complete sham.
I seriously
didn't
hope
like
Dave
it at all.
Bautista did not get paid by the word. Hey, Dave.
Yeah,
but,
Dave Bautista was in it, which is cool.
Yeah, Dave was in it. Dave's awesome.
But Casino Royale and Skyfall, pieces of brilliance.
The thing is, what a lot of people, some people will admit, and a lot of people, but a lot more people won't, is that a character like James Bond, I think some critics would be happy, and James Bond will be back in the next...
No Time to Die.
No Time to
It's
Die.
Greg's final album.
If you haven't seen the trailer for this, oh my gosh, why not? Because it's...
I wasn't that
really?
impressed with the trailer.
Okay, fine.
I'm looking forward to see what Remy Malek will do as the Bond villain this time. I love him. He's great. But I'm like, I don't know. The movie itself, I'm crossing my fingers, because so far, like the Trek films over the years, every other film has been really excellent. You know, Star Trek, the original classics, 2, 4, and 6 are great. 1, 3, and 5 are so to bad. And with this, it's Casino Royale, Skyfall, and this will be the 5th. And then Quantum and Spectre. So, we'll see.
I think some critics would be happy if there was never another James Bond movie. Simply because they feel that the character of James Bond is a dinosaur.
Well, they also, the wokesters have decided that the new James Bond has to be either a ethnic person or a woman. And the producers have basically told them, F you. Another way cancel culture is finally pushing back. They've already proven that it can work in the right circumstances. Thank you, Jodie Whittaker, for being the new Doctor.
Yes.
She's done a great job. But
Yep.
they made it clear when Matt Smith evolved that it was possible to be either a man or a woman as a Time Lord.
Yep.
So that was fine. James Bond is not a woman. James Bond is, in the book, paunchy, older, 50-something, and Caucasian. That's the way Ian Fleming wrote him. That's the way it should stay, some variant of that. It's not, I don't think they should be able to play literally in any other way with it. Just like a few actresses have come out, and actors too, have come out and said, actors are actors. We should be able to play anything, regardless of what it says on the piece of paper.
Within reason.
Within reason, but that's not what some of them are saying.
No, I know. But
that goes back, with all due respect, to what happened with Kubo and the 2 strings and the voice cast. I'm not even going to go into that. We talked about it
before. That's stupid. Moving on. But my point is that if a character is obviously a character that should be Asian or African American or whatever, then the actor who plays them should be Asian or African American.
Right, exactly. It should be the way it's written.
Yes.
Right. You don't want to hire, I'm sorry, when the last time it was around and being considered, you don't want Chris Pine and Ezra Miller leading the cast of Akira.
No.
I love both of them.
You do not want to do it in Neo New York.
Neo New York. No.
Neo Tokyo.
You do not need to do that.
And just don't
friggin' do it. It's just stupid. Akira said in Neo Tokyo, hire a competent cast of Asian actors. And we'll see more of that anyway.
Hopefully.
If Mulan is a success, and I think it will be, we will see more and more of that. Finally, the Hollywood studios finally catching up to the 21st century. Because Mulan, to its credit, has cast an all-Asian cast, not people in Asian face, not people, having makeup or whatever.
No, I know.
It's Donnie Yen, Lee Fei-yu, a whole bunch of good people, and it is going to be stellar.
If you look back on, and I realize that some people might be like, well, Kim, this was, the last century, blah, blah, blah. But
I got the name wrong. It's Yi-Fei Liu, not Li Fei-yu.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If you go back and look at even something, go back to Marlon Brando in Tea House of the August Moon.
Oh God, don't even go
there. Or
there.
Mickey Rooney in Breakfast for Tiffany's.
Don't even go there.
Don't
even go there. Peter Ustinov as who did he play? Fu Manchu? No. He played Charlie Chan in the 80s.
Yeah.
What the hell? Peter Ustinov?
Well, Boris Karloff is Fu Manchu. Christopher Lee is Fu Manchu. You're like, what the
and
actual...
Peter Lorre as Mr. Moto in the early days.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
You're like, what the actual F&F is wrong with you people?
Let's get back to what we were supposed to be talking about, which is the fact that Avengers Endgame was a monster hit.
Yes.
We got completely off the tangent there. Sorry.
But there were some films that were parts of other franchises that they were obviously attempting to move the franchise forward.
Yeah.
And oh boy, did they hit the wall. Ironically, one of them being someone who was in Avengers Endgame, and that would be Men in Black International.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Men in Black International.
Actually, two people that were in Avengers Endgame. My bad.
Well, Tessa's only in it for a few minutes. She's
but
more
she is in it.
She's more in Ragnarok than she is in Endgame.
Yeah, but she is in it.
Yeah. And
Chris Hemsworth.
Also, Terminator Dark Fate.
Yeah.
Which disowned everything since Terminator 2, brought Linda Hamilton back, and it's still completely crashed and burned.
Yep.
And now, just recently, Rambo
Last Blood. Yeah. Well, from what I heard,
they've been successful with some of these.
Yeah. The problem with a film like Rambo Last Blood, and I had a feeling this was going to happen when I heard about the plot.
Yeah.
I was like, this film, okay, this is going to piss some people off, and I know that. And sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
This film is a right-wing wet dream. I said it.
It is.
It is a white man slaughtering a bunch of non-white people. And granted, they're not nice non-white people. They're bad people.
That's not really an excuse.
But,
it really isn't.
Good
not
grief.
In this day and age.
No! This is.
But then again, you can't really have Rambo straightening up and getting elected to Congress or something. That wouldn't work either.
No.
They should have left it. The Rambo or John Rambo, whichever one, got really good reviews when it came out about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been where to leave it.
No, if they really wanted to make a movie like that, they should have had him go after all these, white supremacist people and all this stuff like that, or have those people
do that with the Expendables.
Have those
he's retired Rocky, he's retired Rambo, now he's got the Expendables.
Have those people have poked the wrong bear and find out that John Rambo is not a person to screw with. But no, we take the easiest way out possible, and then you wind up with a movie like this.
The reason they did that though is that's how John Rambo started. No, that's how his whole story started, was being sent to Vietnam. And he's got that in his head. That's part of what they're doing with that. I understand the mentality. I don't like the outcome. I understand they were trying to bring the character full circle to the way he was thinking and show how he was thinking. I think they really botched how
they made a character that was actually very sympathetic. I mean, if you look at the end of First
I've never
Blood,
seen any of them all the way through.
If you look at the end of First Blood where he's sobbing in Richard Crenna's arms, it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
It completely breaks your heart. This is a man who came back from Vietnam, but his mind, heart, and spirit are still there.
Which is
because of the things that he's done, because of the things that he had to do, and are still being done to him by society, whatever the hell that is, when he comes back. Society that should have been throwing parades for these guys when they came back and basically shunted them in the corner and acted like they didn't exist.
The Vietnam experience, this is going off track again, has been depicted so many times in so many different ways. Mm-hmm. I thought it was captured best over the years in a performance that didn't get seen that much. Emil Hirsch in
Taking Woodstock.
Yeah.
Criminally underseen
he was
film.
A representative of a young person, just 20 or 21, back home from Vietnam after being hurt and still experiencing the horrors of being over there.
Right.
And the relationship that he had developed with Dimitri Martin's character was brilliant. I'm a huge fan of Emil anyway, and that really cemented him as one of my favorite actors.
Really, really underseen film. If you've never seen Taking Woodstock, seek it out.
People give it crap, but it's got a great cast.
I don't know why, because it was a great movie.
Critics didn't think it sold all of its parts, but it has a great neo cast. It was the acting debut of Dimitri Martin, who was absolutely phenomenally good. Mm-hmm. It has Imelda Staunton. It has
a scene-stealing performance from Liev Schreiber.
Grace Gummer making her major debut, who is Meryl Streep's daughter, if you don't know her, and
Jeffrey D. Morgan.
That's right. Yeah, he is that. Yeah. Jonathan Groff as the organizer.
Eugene Levy.
It's terrific.
It's a great film. You should. Very underrated. Really enjoyed it.
It is. Ang Lee gets slammed. He hasn't seemed to have been able to connect every time. He did well with Crouching Tiger, okay with Brokeback Mountain, sort of okay with Life of Pi.
And then Hulk
everything else has been very... I mean, this new movie he had out just a few weeks ago, totally bombed. Total bomb.
Yeah.
So,
talking of other bombs and talking of films that were called bombs, unfortunately, because A, the critics didn't like them, and B, I don't know what the hell happened with the audience, Godzilla King of the Monsters was released this year, and
it did not quite earn its money back.
No. And I don't understand why.
It was good. It wasn't as good as the first one. I liked the first one better. I did like this one. I'm anxious to see Kong versus Godzilla next year, or Godzilla versus Kong, whatever they're calling it.
The last I heard it was Kong versus
November.
Godzilla, but I don't know.
They pushed it back from March to November to allow some extra work on the special effects. Or so they said.
Yeah.
Most of the cast is returning. But part of the appeal for how do I describe this? I wanted to know what happened, and they never went into it.
With what?
With Aaron Johnson and his wife and his son, and from the first movie. They never went into that. And I know that's the way Godzilla movies have always operated in Japan. But since they were, already working on a 3-film story arc, it would have made sense for me to have at least seen a little bit of what happened in the aftermath of San Francisco to lead them to the point where they're at now. And it didn't. It just picked up abruptly with a completely different angle
and a different cast,
and I didn't
everything
like
else.
that. Not to say the cast was bad.
The only thing that was the same was the character played by
David Strathairn is the one linking.
David Strathairn. Ken Watanabe.
Ken Watanabe. They're the two.
And
Sally Hawkins.
Yeah.
Those three are the links between the two movies, and it's down to one as of this coming movie.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough. I wanted the civilian personal link that we had from Aaron Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah.
Especially after they had just come off playing brother and sister, and here they were playing husband and wife.
Yeah.
And
you wanted to see at least one movie where they both survived. I actually deserved getting flipped off that one time. I deserved that. That was bitchy.
And we didn't get that.
No, I know.
It's not that I don't care for the characters that end up in this movie. There's a great deal of new tech people that are fun. Millie Bobby Brown excels. She shows that she's well capable of non-Stranger Things stuff here.
The thing that
Kyle Chandler, who I've never been a huge fan of.
Although you liked him in Peter Jackson's Kong.
I liked him in Kong.
Yeah.
And I liked what little part he had in The Spectacular Now, because it was so different than what he usually plays. But
neither of us were fans of Friday Night Lights, so we didn't see him.
Yeah, and I don't particularly care for him overall. He was good here. I liked him a lot. And Vera Farmiga, terrific. Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't the cast, it was the way it was done.
See, the thing that
and I
really
think that
bothers...
turned off a lot of the people that loved the first one.
The thing that really bothers me about these kind of films, about the kaiju films and things like that in general, are the critics who are like, oh, well, they don't have character, they don't have personality, blah, blah, blah. Bull crap.
Most of the critics on this one just thought the plot was too convoluted.
I don't really see... I'm sorry, I followed the plot just fine. I mean, I know some people are saying... Well, I know some people might be going, well, if you followed
I would have only given this Godzilla a B, as opposed to the A- I gave the first one. Because I thought...
But you will grant me that...
What?
That the monsters themselves, you definitely felt they had
brilliant.
They had personality, they had individual characteristics.
When you can see them. There's a problem with the Universal Legendary series, that all of the big monster fights happen in freaking pitch darkness. And it really bugs me that they do that. The Boston finale, which is set at Fenway Park of all places,
which gets trashed, so all the Yankees fans
would have been twice as good as it was if you could see things. You really can't. You can see shadows of Ghidorah, and you can see shadows of Godzilla, and you can see little Millie Bobby Brown, and you get a bare glimpse of Mothra. You can't even really tell she's there most of the time because it's so damn dark. Why? They don't do that with the Japanese movies. They're broad daylight most of the time. What the hell?
Okay, well, that's just...
I don't understand that. Are they afraid that the fans will see through the expensive CGI?
Well, apparently not, because most of Kong's Skull Island was in the daytime.
Yeah, it was.
So that's not it.
So they're going to have to rectify that for Kong versus Godzilla, aren't they?
So that ain't it.
All right.
Talking about things that we talked about. Some things that turned out more surprising than I thought they were going to. Mm-hmm. Disney's Aladdin. I mean, everybody...
Aladdin was a bigger hit than it desered to be, from what I understood.
When everybody saw the trailer, we all went, oh, good gravy train, what have they done? And it actually did better than... I mean, it got a 57 on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics. That almost sounds like something that Will would have said on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The critics gave it a 57% fresh, and the fans gave it a 94% fresh.
Will has the goodwill of the public.
Not
he can
always.
Do crap, but they will usually forgive him.
Not always, because also this year was Gemini Man, and that's
the Ang Lee movie that just bombed.
Yeah, that ran right into a wall.
That's a good example. The Lion King, the critics didn't like.
No.
And I'm not surprised. I mean, because they were pushing it as live action, which it's not. It's animated live CGI, similar to the Jungle Book, but it's not live action.
And unnecessary. And still a ripoff of Kimba.
But then,
not gonna give up on that.
Everything else that happened bad this year, you have the Christmas catastrophe called Cats.
And we're not going to pussyfoot around about it. We could just do cat puns for the next 10 minutes.
We could, yeah. Tom Hooper is a brilliant director. He made the Academy Award winning The King's Speech. He's a great person.
Yep.
But, I mean, we haven't seen it yet. If I see it eventually, I don't think Kim's going to come with me.
Nope.
She loves the Broadway show.
Yep.
I got to admit, I don't know what they did. But from the onset in June, when the teaser trailer was released and became a meme to end all memes at how bad it looked, it was straight on the road for a complete cat lapse.
Yeah.
And it is a huge bomb.
Basically, the audience went Albicininia. Yeah. When the trailer came out,
I'm not even gonna try and stray into that territory.
Oh dear, this is just not gonna stop. We're just gonna keep on catnipping at this until we're done. Anyway, okay, please. Oh gosh, please somebody stop me.
The cast
when the trailer came out, I would say it was 50% disbelief and 50% straight up horror. I mean,
the only trailer that came out this year that got a worse response was the trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah,
and that's coming out finally in February.
And that was so bad they took it. They decided, we're going to redo the entire. We're going to redo the character.
And the improvements are huge.
The improvements are crazy.
Yeah.
I have a feeling the movie's still going to suck.
I don't know. We'll see. The cast is to die for, though. I mean, you've got Ian McKellen, Judi Dench, Jason Derulo. I wonder if he repeats his character's name every time he opens his mouth. Taylor Swift, Rebel Wilson,
Idris Elba,
Jennifer Hudson as Grisabella, which I thought was weird casting.
Yeah, I did too.
I think it was strictly so she could end up with memory and get to belt that out, and she's dynamic.
It's like you guys. It's
Although
not,
I'm not really crazy of her version. So
it's like you guys. I don't know if anybody actually read the whole script, but Grisabella is supposed to be an older cat who's seen some stuff.
Older. She is playing older, but not as old as Judi Dench's character.
Yeah. Well,
Judi Dench is playing old Deuteronomy, which has always been a male character.
Which has always been a male cat. Yeah. But you don't really. Yeah, but old Deuteronomy doesn't. That. And
James Corden and his penis. James Corden, who's not likely to ever get another job in film, after going out on some interview last week and saying, I haven't seen it. I've heard it sucks. And the studio is pissed. Yeah. Big time. He's going to be lucky to keep his talk show.
Oh, don't say that.
No, I'm serious. He is in deep shit with Hollywood people right now for that.
Well, a lot of other people have gone out there and shown zero interest in flagging their films, and
not in a film that cost $165 million to make.
Well, I'm just saying a lot of other people have done that too, Bruce Willis. But
but I mean, it was just the fact that he admitted he hadn't seen it. If he'd seen it and then said it was bad, that's a different story.
Well, a lot of people also admit they don't watch their films because they don't like watching themselves on film.
Yeah.
You know, which is...
Anyway, Cats is a complete catastrophe.
Yeah,
and
you did that joke already.
I know. One thing that turned out not to be a catastrophe, or even a mouse-tastrophe, was the unexpectedly large success of Detective Pikachu, the first live-action Pokemon film starring Justice Smith and Bill Nighy and Catherine Newton. Is that
yes, Catherine Newton and Ryan Reynolds.
Well, Ryan Reynolds isn't. He doesn't have he's Pikachu's voice. This was better than we thought. We were anxious to see it, but we were like, this is going to be a train wreck. And it is hilariously funny. We loved it.
We really enjoyed it.
It was great, and it did better, well enough that they've ordered a couple of sequels. And
don't know how that's going to work, but
it's other sequels set in the Pokemon universe. It's not necessarily going to be with Pikachu.
Okay.
But it probably will be.
One film that turned out to be a bigger hit than a lot of people think I thought it was going to be was Fast and Furious Hobbs and Shaw. That did very well.
Well, you have two appealing stars in Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham.
You do.
And they they're known to love working together. Mm-hmm. You also had the cameo from Dwayne's sidekick Kevin Hart, and I mean they're just really good together. And so the funniest thing I ever saw them do together was hosting the BiblioMusica Awards one year.
Yeah.
They were
it also didn't hurt that they got a lot of publicity from the WWE because WWE superstar Roman Reigns was in the film. Albeit
he shot it when he was out for his medical treatments for leukemia, and it was like, and of course he is the second cousin of John.
He and Dwayne
they're related somewhat.
John Johnson are cousins. It's
And although Roman didn't have any lines,
he had a line.
He did he?
One line. I paid attention.
You were watching quite closely.
Maybe. Woman needs, don't judge.
Was the biggest surprise or shock of the year to you? I don't know whether it was to the critics. I think they were kind of expecting it to do more than it did. Was the overwhelming success of how well Todd Phillips' Joker did?
Yes.
Because Todd Phillips crafted a movie that had nothing to do with the origins of the character. It was a completely standalone story, new character, different motivations.
Different background.
No connection to Batman yet.
Yeah.
You do see Bruce and his father in the movie, but they're not where they are.
You have to see it, yeah.
And it is a brilliant performance from Joaquin Phoenix. What Joker and that casting, I was completely leery of at first, and then I saw the little trailer, and I was like, they might pull this off, and they did.
What Joker turned out to be, I thought was absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Because when all of the
terrifying.
Terrifying. When all the stuff started coming out about that we're going to do a solo Joker movie, my first response was, how in the F are you going to do a movie about the Joker and not have Batman in it?
Well, they did have Batman in it. He just wasn't Batman
But
yet.
my whole point is, don't poke the comic nerd. My whole point being, you know what happens if you poke a nasty dog with a sharp stick? They break their chain and bite you on the balls. Anyway,
I do believe I've just been insulted.
But my whole point is going back to what has been one of Joker's origin stories, because as he said himself, if he has to have a past, it might as well be multiple choice. That Batman was directly involved with what created the Joker. So I was like, how in the forkin' frog are we going to do a movie that is the Joker's origin story and Batman's not in it? Then I saw the trailer, the teaser trailer, and I went, all right. Then we saw the movie, and I was like, okay, that's how they do it.
And they did it. That still connects it without connecting it.
Yes.
And it was brilliant.
And that movie was amazing. Also so disturbing.
He's got some great stuff in
extremely
it. Robert
terrifying.
And Zazie Beetz. Terrific stuff.
We walked out of that movie and I was like, I want a blanket. I want a warm hug. I want an entire plate of chocolate chip cookies. I want some Thorazine.
And in 10 years, when they're doing a retrospective of, different iconic scenes in movies, we're going to see that scene. I mean, we're already starting to see it everywhere, where he is dancing down the stairs in Brooklyn in the Joker makeup and the costume on his way to the talk show.
Music choice, a little questionable.
That is a great scene.
It is one of the most
inspired, according
well-filmed.
to Todd Phillips, by the staircase scene in Battleship Potemkin, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But it's Joaquin
an
is
incredible,
freaking brilliant in this movie.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is one of the treasures of acting of this or any century, really. But yeah, his turn as the Joker in this is mesmerizing, and people. It's really interesting because people talk about if you watch like nature shows like we do. And they talk about like usually certain types of snakes that when they rear up and they hold that stance.
It's called the S position.
Yeah, when they hold that stance and they're able to paralyze their prey. They haven't touched them yet.
Right.
But their prey is so afraid of them that the whole run away, that's a predator thing, part of their brain hits the blue screen of death.
Yeah.
And they can't move.
Right.
That is Joaquin Phoenix in this film.
That's a brilliant description.
He is terrifying. I mean, if I had a choice of being locked in a room with his Joker or Jason Voorhees, hey, Jason, want to sit down and have some coffee?
What about his Joker and Heath Ledger's Joker?
His Joker and Heath Ledger's Joker are very different.
All the Jokers that we've ever seen are completely different.
They are. They're all very...
played it for comedy in the TV show. Nicholson had an air of comedy about his in the original, and then Heath Ledger, which was so serious and
unnerving.
And then Jared Leto, who just played him like a street punk, which is the way he was played in the Batman cartoon series. And now,
and you also had we should also bring up Mark Hamill's voice work as the Joker, which has been amazing and stellar and long lasting and just
he's the best Joker
brilliant
voiceover person ever.
His Joker is not the Joker I grew up with, but he's the Joker that's now going to be in my nightmares, I think, for the rest of my existence. And
like I said yesterday, it's not a movie I would want to see again anytime soon. It's not to say it's a bad movie. It's not. It's one of the best of the year. But I was so unnerved by it that I don't need to see it again anytime soon.
The best way
United 93 was it took me a couple years to watch it again.
The best way to explain the Joker is actually the best way to explain Joker is to take something from actually another Batman media, the brilliant graphic novel which was made into a so-so movie, The Killing Joke, Batman the Killing Joke, where the Joker's whole motivation, assuming he has one, is to try and drive Commissioner Gordon insane by proving that if a good man has one bad day, they can wind up just like the Joker. They can wind up being that big of a monster.
Which is kind of like what this movie,
that is exactly what this movie
where the motivation
is saying.
came from.
And it is definitely one of the best films it's one of the best films of the decade.
The studio has been rumbling about a sequel, and Todd Phillips has pretty much said, go F yourself.
No.
They may make another movie where he appears, but he's not going to be the central character.
No.
And so I don't know.
And speaking of Batman, we should actually bring this up now. Talking about winners or losers in the future, since it's been announced and we all know it's going to happen in spite of what some people would like to do, petitions notwithstanding, screw you guys, that there's going to be somebody new stepping into the cape and cowl of the Dark Knight. Granted, it's somebody that a lot of people went WTF about.
Well, everybody went WTF about Ben Affleck, and they ended up loving him.
Yeah, they did.
I'm not so sure how they're going to take to Robert Pattinson in the cowl. It'll be interesting. He's a lot better, and people who haven't seen anything but the Twilight movies don't know the depth of his abilities. He is a magnificent young actor.
He is an amazing actor. We've seen him in so many other
Chilling
things.
From this year, from what we've heard in The Lighthouse, and in Good Time, the Safdie brothers. film before the last one.
The thing about a character like Batman is the fact that you have so many ways to play Batman and Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. Now that's where you run into an issue, is the fact that you have some people, I'm not going to say this person, whatever, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. You have some people who play Batman that Batman is the mask and it's Bruce Wayne that's the real person. And you have some people
I believe it's the other way around myself.
That you have some people that play it that Bruce Wayne is the mask and Batman is who this person really is. I think, and this is just my own take on it for what it's worth, mm-hmm. I think someone who can walk that very thin razor's edge of someone who makes both of them believable mm-hmm. is what you need to make a well-rounded character.
Well, they've been done well so far in the most recent series. I know people didn't like George Clooney in the role, or Val Kilmer. I'm not really crazy. I didn't like Kilmer at all. Clooney, I wasn't so problem with him as Batman as I was. Bruce Wayne was too smarmy.
And the script.
And the script was terrible. But Michael Keaton was brilliant. I loved Christian Bale. Ben Affleck was fine. In fact, I rather liked the older, grittier, tougher Batman that Affleck played in Batman vs. Superman and Justice League. I wish he was doing more of it. I think he would do interestingly. Pattinson has the potential to be a great Batman. All that aside for a moment, let's also forget that there's somebody else that's put on that costume. Mm-hmm. And got raised for doing it, even though he had it on for just a few minutes. David Mazouz,
yes,
who got to complete Gotham after 5 seasons in the Batman outfit.
Yes.
And
there is somebody...
He's 18 and a marvelous actor, a member of our Rising Star alum. He's terrific, and it was...
And I know some people, just a few more real quick, some people out there going, you better say it, Kim, or we're going to write some really angry letters. Kevin Conroy.
Well, I was only talking about the live action. There's so many in the animated. Kevin Conroy, best known, but Bruce Greenwood's done a great job with it.
Yeah. I mentioned before on this show, when I dream of Batman, and I do, and so do you, don't deny it, out there listening to this, when I dream of Batman, he sounds like Kevin Conroy.
Well, yeah.
And some people who have
he is the definitive Batman by this point.
And the definitive Bruce Wayne.
Even though he didn't play
and
the
also
role.
Play it on Crisis.
He didn't play the role the longest, I don't think, as a voiceover. I think that still belongs to Olan Sule.
I don't know.
I might be wrong.
I'm not sure.
Olan played it in most of the 70s stuff for Filmation and
Hanna-Barbera, yeah.
But Kevin's far
and actually has been Bruce Wayne now on television in live action, because he was featured in Crisis on Infinite Earths. He was featured.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. We haven't caught up with those yet.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And I would be a bit remiss as a Supernatural. As a Supernatural fan, I would be a bit remiss to not mention that Jensen Ackles did a costume and photo shoot and everything like that for Halloween.
Oh, he looked fantastic
as Batman.
He would have made a great Batman.
Oh, my.
And you know something?
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm going to get yelled at by people. I rag on Supernatural all the time.
Yes,
just
you do.
Because it irritates her.
Yes, it does.
But it is a well-made, well-produced, extremely well-written show with a terrific cast. And I'm interested to see Jared Padalecki's take on Walker, Texas Ranger if it goes to series.
Me too.
But they need to grab Jensen to play Green Lantern right now while they still have a chance, because he's the only person that's the right size, the right look, and he's going to be free. They're still doing the Green Lantern Korra movie. That would be great to see him.
You guys.
I think he would be good to play. I'm assuming Hal Jordan role.
I was going to say, would you want him to... He's a bit old for Kyle Rayner.
He is.
You'd want him to play Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to tell you guys something seriously out there in internet land. I had no idea he was going to say that right now.
No. I don't have a problem with some people have actually mentioned him as a big screen version of Arrow. I don't really think that would work. I think he'd be much better.
I think Stephen Amell would be great, but that's just...
But they don't want to cross universes.
No, I know.
Although they have mentioned that there might be a cameo for Grant in the Ezra movie. So...
Wow.
Well, because they're doing Flashpoint.
I know. Yeah, great. So we're going to go to a movie.
Yeah.
So you know how they have when you
But
go to
I do think Jensen would make a terrific Green Lantern.
That's awesome.
And he wants to do comic movies. He's a big fan.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah. This year he dresses Batman. Last year he dresses the Red Hood, which made sense.
He played the Red Hood on an animated.
And both
movie.
of those, wow.
I'm not saying that just to suck up to her.
No,
either.
No, he
because there
trust
is
me, he
talk
doesn't suck up to me either.
They are going to do a new Green Lantern, a reboot Green Lantern, with a better script, hopefully. And
we established from
Ryan
one
Reynolds
line
would have been great if the script had been any good. It was terrible, and I mean it was really bad. And at the time, nobody knew who Taika Waititi was, so we didn't really know that he was going to be a big star in the future as a director and a writer.
I still like
as well
Mark
as an actor.
Strong's take on Sinestro.
Mark Strong was terrific as Sinestro. I wouldn't have any problem with him coming back. But, yeah, they need somebody that can handle the role. And there are a few people. I mean, some people have been even now, and he's getting too old now, still have their heart set on the idea of Nathan Fillion playing Hal Jordan. And I love Nathan Fillion, and 10 years, he would have been a great choice.
He's voiced the character.
He has
that's
voiced
something.
it. But I really do think Jensen would be terrific in that role.
Oh, wow.
I think he would be. He fits how I see the mid-30s, early 40s version of Hal Jordan. So it works.
Oh, wow. He'd
also be great as Ralph Dibny if they ever introduced him to the films.
I don't know. They've had him on.
They've had him on Smallville and on
the Flash.
The Flash,
yeah.
But not the classic version. I'm talking classic version.
I don't know.
Anyway, that's just neither here nor there. We're running long on this segment. We'll be back with more great stuff from this year
when Subject Cinema returns.
T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema.
All right, Kristen, I am so excited that you've decided to do a podcast with me, but what are we going to do a podcast about? There's so many other movie podcasts. We got to do something original.
Well, I'm a big fan of Disney movies. What about something like that?
That's just kid stuff. What do we want to do that for?
Did you know that The Avengers is a Disney movie? Or that Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie?
Pulp Fiction is not a Disney movie.
It's technically owned by Miramax, which is part of Disney.
We are still going to talk about the Disney animated movies, though, right?
I thought you said that was kid stuff.
Well, I've got 2 kids. I got to be a good dad and stuff.
So be sure to subscribe to the Walt Sent Me podcast, where we discuss the various subsidiaries of the Walt Disney Studios, including the animated movies.
It's available on iTunes, Podomatic, and wherever you find great podcasts. And I swear, it's not kid stuff.
The best movies. Subject Cinema.
It's the Year in Review 2019 Part 2. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
This is Subject Cinema number 641. What did you like and dislike this year? Any ideas? Let us know. We want to hear about what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Subject Cinema at PNRNetworks.com or Popcorn and Roses at Yahoo.com. Yep. We'll get it. We'd love to put your lists, your favorites, your best and worst on the air.
What you were pleasantly surprised by, what you were disappointed with. All that kind of stuff. We'd definitely like to know.
Let's talk a little bit. We're going to push the full remaining list of the passings to tomorrow's show. Just tell you that up front, because we got kind of long-winded on these last 2 segments. Yeah. Breakout stars this year. Are there any that really jump out in your mind as to roles, movies, television, drama, whatever it is?
Well, I really enjoyed, we mentioned her earlier, I really enjoyed Millie Bobby Brown's performance in Godzilla King of the Monsters. I have not seen Stranger Things, so I know that's what she's best known for.
She's known for that, yeah.
So I was just pleased that she was playing a character that was, from what I've heard, so different than her character.
I find it interesting
on that show.
I find it interesting that all the Stranger Things kids have jumped into films, except Gaten. Gaten Matarazzo, instead of jumping into films, jumped into producing his own prank series for Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what it's called, but it premiered in October, I think. But the rest of the Vault movies, Finn Wolfhard is out there. Good God, he's been in I don't know how many movies this year. He appeared in another movie that was an unexpectedly huge bomb at the box office, The Goldfinch.
Yeah.
He's in a couple more movies coming up. He was in It Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he's got his band out there, Calpurnia, doing rock music and stuff.
Yeah.
Noah Jupe is in Honey Boy with Shia LaBeouf. The other young man, I've forgotten his name, is the star of Abe, a critically acclaimed comedy that appeared at Sundance and still does not have a distributor. And of course, David Harbour trashed Hellboy. So,
oh, that's not nice. Don't do that.
I don't know if Winona Ryder, I don't think she's done anything in the big screen this year. And Joe Keery hasn't got anything coming out until next summer. He's in that movie with Ryan Reynolds that shot here in Revere. I can't remember what the name of it is, though, but the trailer's been well received. Mm-hmm. Even if Joe did, of course, that was another big story this year. Joe cut his hair right after the season started running on Netflix on July 4th. He got a bowl cut, and people were freaking out.
Yeah.
Because Joe had this huge mound of beautiful, gorgeous hair. And I'm thinking, I hope the Stranger Things thing aren't going to have to stick you in a wig next season.
Yeah. Or if they do have to stick you in a wig,
it's grown back out pretty quick. He's got it pretty long again. It looks pretty normal again. But it's like, wow, what possessed you to do that? He did it for a role, actually, a guest role. So, but it's like, wow.
What about you? Is there anybody that really stuck out for you?
Only one person this whole year that I've seen has really. I mean, there's a lot of performers I like over the entire entertainment spectrum.
Oh yeah.
But only one performer seems to have had a real impact on anything that I've seen that we enjoy, and it's not an actor. It's professional wrestler Marco Stunt.
Oh, yeah.
I am so impressed with Marco. This 23-year-old, 5'2", 114-pound guy is making waves like you would never believe in the world of professional wrestling.
Yep.
And he does have acting talent. He's trained as an actor in high school and stuff. And so we see that in all of his stuff. He's teamed up frequently with Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, Luke Perry's son, and their partner, Luchasaurus, on All Elite Wrestling. And they're funny as hell, and they are great. Jurassic Express is the team,
yeah.
Marco could be a big star in movies and music. He's also a musician.
Yeah.
If he tries. He posted a little bit of a song he wrote last week on his Twitter, and the tweet went nuts. I mean, he had record producers writing him, going like, "Oh my God, we got to talk about this. This is really good." Mm-hmm. I tweeted to him. I said, "Dude, you have the potential to become to wrestling what Luke Matrani has become to snowboarding." He's done super well with his music career, and it's terrific.
I really like his stuff, and that's not really my kind of music usually.
Luke's stuff is great. I wish he would take off even bigger because he's working full time on music now, and it's terrific. I mean, you want to see some great stuff? Go over to YouTube and look up Crazy Mad Beautiful, which was his big hit from this last summer, or Walk on the Moon, which was awesome from 2018.
That I really liked, and like I said, that's not really my style. But
and he's a very laid back, earthy, crunchy, AAA type of music, but I love his stuff, and Marco could do the same thing with what I've seen. But I think he eventually will make his mark in both acting and music.
I think so too. I think he definitely could. Well, AEW All Elite Wrestling has been something
a huge success story too.
It really, and it's what wrestling needed. I really think that it was, and still believe that, because competition.
It needed something.
Competition is a good thing. Competition is always a good thing. It's happened.
I mean, you'll probably handle this more when you do a year in review on your show this week or next week. But for so many years, the wrestling world has been just Vince McMahon, WWE.
Yeah.
There have been fringe groups out there. Ring of Honor's come the closest to being super successful, but there's also been what was TNA, what is now Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
And more recently, Major League Wrestling got picked up by Fight TV, and that thing that runs Championship Wrestling from Hollywood runs on, I've forgotten it. What is it, ZTV?
I think so, yeah.
Z Living. It's a Canadian channel we actually get on our RCN cable system. But AEW has freaking taken off.
Yeah.
Vince was so scared, he launched NXT as a network series.
Which they will.
It had been strictly on WWE Network, and now it's on USA.
Yeah, funny that.
But it has, they've beaten AEW a couple times. They're going back and forth the way Nitro and Raw used to.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I have to be honest, AEW has made me excited to be a wrestling fan again.
It's had its missteps here and there, but they've mostly been pretty good. The match between the highly touted match on their most recent episode, which Jericho challenged Jungle Boy to last with 10 minutes in the ring with him. Well, he went more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And Jack, no offense to anybody out there, I've been ragging on people online, and Kim's also picked up this thing because it pisses me off when he's worked for 3 years to put this persona together and become Jungle Boy. He's supposed to be, a savage from the wild, and everybody, Chris Jericho calls him out. Oh yeah, Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, Hollywood's golden boy. It's like,
well, Jericho's supposed to do that because he's a heel.
He is, but it's disrespectful of that because, yes, everybody knows Jungle Boy. His real name is Jack Perry. He is Luke Perry's son. Everybody knows that. It's not a big surprise.
No.
But that's not part of his character.
No.
And I mean, he doesn't stay in character outside. I mean, there's a lot of shoot interviews with him online, which are great. But it's like, I get that irritates me. But they've been part of the big success over there.
Definitely.
John Moxley coming over, previously known as Dean Ambrose, coming over, and Jericho coming over. And they're going to end up getting more because Vince has got a lot of unhappy people right now.
When you've got people that are, the foundation of AEW, people like Cody Rhodes, Cody. Sorry, my bad.
Cody and his brother, just Dustin.
Could we not? Could we not, please?
Gold Dust.
And stop it.
Gold Dust.
Quit it. Come on.
What? I loved that gimmick. It was awesome.
Yeah. Did not age well.
I loved it from the very beginning. You couldn't stand it when it first started.
No.
I thought it was hilarious.
Did not age well. Moving on.
Okay.
People like the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, people like that.
Sammy Guevara and the rest of the elite crew too, the
Inner Circle
crew too. They've been.
Which
Sammy is a spot machine. He's as good as Marco and Jungle Boy, and the Bucks. He's got. I mean, he's 23, I think 22 or 23,
something like that,
and just incredible. And he's been. Of course, he does the whole vlog thing, which he's been doing online for real since he started, so about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's great at it. And although his character is so despicable,
which is the point,
you can't stand him. I happen to know backstage he and Marco and Jack are good buddies. And
considering the fact that his face is the definition of the German word Backpfeifengeist.
Backpfeifengeschicht.
Backpfeifengeschicht.
You gotta remember to say it right. It took us forever to learn how to say that word, just so she could say that word.
Yeah. My Deutsch is not the best. I'm really sorry. Look it up. But anyway, I would definitely say that Marco is someone that is definitely, he was on our Rising. He's the first wrestler to ever make our Rising Stars list. Who's been on our Rising Stars list.
We had just seen him on All Out at the time, and it was terrific.
Yeah.
All in. All Out or All In, one of them.
Yeah, one of them.
It was Double or Nothing. I don't remember which one.
Anyway, I mean, and obviously there's things to look forward to in 2020.
We'll go over all the movies and stuff coming up on our first episode of the new year. But there's a lot to look forward to. A lot of the same old. Hollywood's just doing lots of sequels again. Hopefully there'll be some originality next year.
I kind of, when it comes to remakes or reboots or whatever, I'm kind of two minds of that. On one hand, people who complain about just the concept of a reboot or a remake of whatever, I'm like, you know what? If you bitch about that, then you wind up not having sometimes a really interesting interpretive take on a character. Case in point, Robert Downey Jr.'s take on Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
But there are some times when I'm like, why did we need this? Case in point, from this year, Child's Play, Mark Hamill or no Mark Hamill as the voice of Chucky, and also Black Christmas again.
You're not going to let that go.
No, I'm not going to let that go. I'm like,
I think it's more important that Hollywood is now learning that reboots are not working, even when they're in the context of trying to connect to the original film. Not everything can do what Halloween did.
No.
Halloween started by connecting itself to the original Halloween and disowning everything from the first movie on.
Yeah.
With the new series.
But that's what Terminator Dark Fate did.
That's what I mean.
And it didn't work.
It did not work. And it was a disaster at the box office. So it doesn't always work.
No,
but
it
they're
doesn't
try
always
again
work. This
coming year with other stuff, and we'll see.
Yeah. No, it's not always, but some remakes, some things, if somebody came out and said, hey, we're going to do a remake of Casablanca, I think some people would just stroke out. It would just, oh, don't do that.
Casablanca has been remade twice, for television. It was a television series in the 1950s as part of a rotating series called Warner Brothers Presents, and it became another series in 1983 or 84. It was a series on NBC on Saturday nights with David Soul as Rick Blaine.
Yeah, but it wasn't called Casablanca, was it?
Yes, it was.
Oh, I thought it was called Rick's Place.
No, it's called
something.
Casablanca.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that Casablanca started life as a play.
Yeah.
That was a play before it was a film.
It was?
Yes, it was.
I don't think it was ever staged, was it?
I'm not sure, but it definitely was.
It's like all the new films that have come out. In fact, this actually brought this up yesterday because I was looking at a clip from ATV. There have been now 4 different incarnations of the Brady Bunch over the years. There was the original series, there was the animated series, there was the Brady Bunch Hour, and there was Brady Girls Get Married. Five, excuse me. Brady Bunch Girls Get Married / the Brady Brides, and then later in the 80s, they did a Very Brady Christmas, which led to the limited series called The Bradys.
And then they did the movies.
Well, the movie was part of that. The movies are a separate entity altogether. That doesn't even count.
Okay.
I'm talking about the original series. And interestingly enough, every single series went through, and in every sequel, at least one of the girls was played by somebody else, which I thought was hilariously funny. Jerry Richelle stepped in for Eve Plum on the god-awful Brady Bunch Variety Hour. And then Jennifer Runyon played Cindy in A Very Brady Christmas because Susan Olsen was actually on her honeymoon during the shoot and couldn't do it. When they brought it back as The Bradys, which was spun off of that movie, Susan was back, but Maureen McCormick did not want to do the series and stepped out and was replaced by Leah Ayres. So I think that's an interesting thing. In every single incarnation, it's always been the three guys.
The other thing about reboots or remakes, the other thing about that is also you have to figure on the time. The time when the first film was shot, and then you have the next film. In between...
Yeah, how is that going to affect Avatar?
Yeah.
It's been 11 years by the time it comes out.
In between the films... you have technological advances, you have cultural advances, you have moral changes and things like that. There are things that, if you just look at just taking a character, let's take a character like Count Dracula. Let's look at a character like Count Dracula. You look at the way Bela Lugosi played him in Todd Browning's Dracula, which some people, in their opinion, is the seminal portrayal of Count Dracula.
I think I would agree with that statement.
It's not entirely accurate to the book, but whatever.
No, but the portrayal of Dracula himself, I think, is personified by Lugosi.
But what I'm going with there is not so much the character as what he's allowed to do.
Okay.
In the fact that you have Lugosi's Dracula, now you jump forward some decades, and you have Christopher Lee's Dracula. Now you can show blood. Yep. You can show Dracula actually biting people. You can show women in low-cut, outfits with their breasticles practically hanging out. You can show all that now. Yeah. If you had tried to show that back in the 30s, they would have burned the theater down. But that's my point. When you have theater moves on and cinema moves on and society moves on, so now you can do things at certain points that back before you could never do.
Right.
And also because theater and film has to deal with restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a point in time, and I realize for anybody under 21, this is going to shock the crap out of you. Actually, even people our age, I was like, what? When I heard about this thing that they had called the Hays Code.
The Hays Code was pretty much abolished after the release of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Mm-hmm. The Hays Code said you can do this, you can't do that, this has to be done this way, this has to be done that way, you can't show this kind of character in a negative light, you can't show a person that has this kind of a job in a negative light.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, straitjacket, trample on personal freedoms of expression, blah,
right.
blah, blah.
And the person most responsible for taking the Hays Code down was Elizabeth Taylor,
mm-hmm.
who started it with Butterfield 8, but really took it down hard with Virginia Woolf, and that collapsed into what now is called it kind of split. The kind of critical part of it went to National Board of Review, and the other part of it went to what is now the MA. They've dropped the second A. It's now just the
But
MPA.
we still have all of these stupid restrictions. And in my opinion, and you can say, that I'm completely wrong if you like, but I think that in the last couple of years, I mean, you have all these people, clutching their pearls and complaining how, society is so permissive these days. Blah, 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 blah. Not my fault you're not getting any. But, that's...
Whoa! Okay, family show. Watch it there, woman.
But I actually think that the film industry has gotten more restrictive, in my opinion, not more permissive.
We should save this for a whole show, but I would agree in some aspects and I would disagree in some aspects. Because they've gotten more permissive about the things they don't want to be restrictive about. And the stuff they want to be restrictive about, they don't allow at all.
Yeah, they've gone nuts.
Yeah. It's called cancel culture, again. Wokesters, Me Too and, Super PC and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets kind of ridiculous.
We might want to save that for a whole show or something like that. But you know what I mean.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a truth that needs to be aired. I think it's time we should wrap this one up.
Mm-hmm.
We went over all the big stories of the year and talked about
and
successes and stuff. Tomorrow, on our part 3, we will finish off the list of those we lost this year. There's
mm-hmm.
a lot more we didn't get to yesterday.
Yeah.
And we will also go over what's coming up for us in the future
mm-hmm.
and a few other things. And on Tuesday, our Just 'Cause We Can Awards. We're not doing Poppies and Rosies again this year because we only saw 15 films.
Something like that.
I saw 2 more than you did.
Yeah.
Because of our schedules and because of various stuff going on with my illnesses and Kim's mom and everything. So we missed a lot, and we still haven't had time to catch up the Christmas stuff yet. We promise I personally am pledging to you I will get better next year. I'm determined to see one new film a year.
I have my own plans for this coming year, so.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Are you going to share them with me sometime?
Once we're off mic, yeah.
Okay. I
don't want this on record. Right. Screw that.
And shit. I'm
Hey, if it's the one thing, hold up. If it's the one thing, if I've learned nothing else from living with you, of course, I've actually learned a lot of things from living with you because you're very smart. But if there's one thing that I've learned
That's what's called sucking up, people.
If there's one thing I've learned from living with you and proving that I actually listen when you talk about politics and I don't completely zone out and just sing some show tunes in my head.
Right, get the point.
The one thing I've learned is don't put stuff on tape.
I don't see Mr. Nixon anywhere. Do you? I totally forgot what I was going to say. I think that. I got her a film log for for Christmas because I thought she'd get a kick out of it because it drives me crazy that she writes them down in her notebook, then she forgets about them. And I put everything on Letterboxd. I've been trying to get her to do that too, and she opened an account there and then didn't use it. So I got her a physical book, and I know when she has that, she tends to use it more.
Yeah.
So, and she loved the format of it too. It gives you plenty of room to write stuff up and everything.
That's because she still sucks at typing.
It'll become a yearly thing if you need one, if you can, keep it up. I myself am going to make a pledge to see at least one new movie a week, whether it's in theaters or on demand or whatever, just to keep up. There's so much, and you guys know from listening, if you listen to 3 Minute Weekend, do you listen to 3 Minute Weekend? We're available everywhere, including Spotify with that show, so please listen. There's a lot of films that people never hear about that come out in 2 or 3 theaters that later will show up on cable that you should keep an eye out for. And we highlight every single major release and every single indie release on 3 Minute Weekend every Friday morning. Make a list. I mean, one of the things I've been asking people to do this last couple of weeks, if you have any ideas on how to improve 3 Minute Weekend and our digital show, Tuesday Digidex, which covers streaming and home video, let me know. If you want me to put a list up, you want me to do something to make it a little bit more accessible, post trailers,
Yeah.
I need to know what to do to make you guys interested in listening. So please write to me at Subject Cinema at eCinema at PNRNetworks.com.
Yep.
And we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, and if you'd like to follow either of us on Twitter, or you can make suggestions to us on Twitter if you'd like, you can find me on Twitter at PlatinumRoselle at Twitter.com.
And I'm at eCinemaOne and eCinemaBoston and TKR Online for my music stuff over on Twitter. We both have Facebook pages up. We both have other shows we do. Front Row 5 and 10 will be back on January 9th, I believe. Maybe the 2nd, but probably the 9th. Catastrophe Vortex returns January 6th. And your show, are you doing are you probably going to do a recap for Ring
Around the Rosie? We'll definitely be doing a year-end recap or looking forward to 2020 kind of a show. And
whether that's this week or next week, she's not sure yet, though.
Yeah.
And
Platinum Rose's Garden
returns when Supernatural
will
comes
be
back.
coming back when Supernatural comes back from our winter hiatus.
Anthony will be debuting his brand new podcast, The Nerd Grotto, in early January, along with a few other people involved. And, of course, you can continue to listen to Cavebabble with Eric and Valerie Lyon.
Yeah.
At Cavebabble.com.
I also have another show, a channel on YouTube, if you'd like to check that out.
Oh, guys, if you have not heard her show here, you guys need to go check it out. It is exclusively on YouTube. Look up Platinum Rose RolePlay. She is writing and producing, writing these shows, and I'm producing them, but I'm doing the big deal. I edit and sound effects. Big deal. She's doing all the acting, all the writing. They are fantastic. Please go listen to them. And I'm not saying that just because I love her. And I just think she's really terrific, and I always have.
I think that's it.
All right, we'll see you shortly, but until then... For more year-end stuff, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNRNetworks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema theme performed by Eric Lyon. Subject Cinema is recorded and produced using Sony Vegas products. Subject Cinema is copyright 2018 by PNRNetworks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies. Podcasting's choice. From coast to coast, continent to continent, right here 24/7.